All right, let's get this party showing. Hey guys, please share whatever platform you're looking at us on. Please share. Let's get these videos out here because we're going to be having a really fun conversation today. Welcome everybody. To those who are not familiar with THORChain, THORChain is the world's largest Bitcoin DEX. You can swap Bitcoin with 10 different blockchains across 39 different pools. Without using bridges or wrapped tokens. It's the real layer one. Check it out at swap.thorchain.org. swap.thorchain.org. Anyone in the world can use THORChain. There is no account to open, no KYC required. THORChain has two tokens. That's RUNE and TCY. The fees for swapping on THORChain are paid in RUNE, and that's where the yield comes from. The fees are deducted from swaps to purchase RUNE, so you don't need to own RUNE to trade on THORChain. Anyone can do it, right? 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to TCY holders. So you need to stake your TCY in order to start collecting this yield. There are 0 inflationary block rewards on THORChain. The yield is real money paid by real users. THORChain is turning into a full layer one with the ability to create smart contracts on it, similar to Ethereum. The community calls this the app layer, and it's being developed by Rajira. If you would like to become a node operator and need some help, reach out to @RuneTard on X. It's @RuneTard on X. He can help you get set up and find bond providers as well. If you need help with THORChain in general, join the THORChain community Discord and Telegram groups. The links are on thorchain.org. THORChain.org. Guys, please follow THORChain on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow THORChain Contact on TikTok. We need 1,000 followers to live stream on those platforms. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial investment or legal advice. With that being said, you guys, what's going on? My name is Denny. I go by Patriot Sounds. I'm often on the RuneBond account as well. I've been a content creator and educator of THORChain for going on 6 years now. Love my job. I'm having fun. I'm super excited to talk about THORChain today. How you doing, Kenton?
I'm good, man. Yeah. My name's Kenton. I'm a node operator and bond provider on THORChain, and I'm also leading the marketing team. Was established last year, and I'm helping put together the swap interface. So maybe we should jump into that. Maybe a little quick updates. Everything working there. Um, there's a problem with limit orders on being able to cancel them, and apparently it's a problem with the actual code of THORChain. It's not. So I guess an update's gonna have to go through to fix it. So we don't have that on the UI yet. Uh, Streaming swap settings have been added. We're not calling it streaming swaps. It's time weighted average price TWAT.
Yeah.
Um, so we're trying to use common terminology, and I think the settings on there don't make sense. So I was talking to the guys today. I'm like, we need to relook at this. Something isn't right. Um, but if you're looking at playing, if you have any ideas, feedback, but by all means, let us know. Um, so hopefully we'll have those dialed in here by next week. Next Thursday. Um, and then let me just see. Sorry, some of you have asked about. I'm sorry. Give me a second here.
Yeah, no worries, bro.
Um, yeah, then the next things we're working on the swap interface is like pages for bond providing, liquidity pools, TCY, functions for node operators. Basically, all the memos, anything to interact with THORChain. Those are gonna be the next pages that come out, and then we're also starting to work on making the swap interface look like the new website. So the designer is starting to talk about that. Um, um, I think I told you guys a week or two ago we got permalinks done where um, it'll pre-populate the pair when you go to the interface, and I got those links updated on CoinGecko. So now when you're on the exchange page of CoinGecko, you see BTC to Rune, You click on it, it goes to the now it goes to THORChain, the swap.THORChain, and it's got BTC and Rune populated. So I got those just got those updated. I talked to CoinGecko last night about doing some marketing and getting all of our exchange info up going. And they've actually, I have to give them kudos. Like they've been great to deal with. Like even just their help desk. I've had to go back and forth with them a few times, but they do respond and they do actually read what you write and try to understand. And and so it's so so far the talks have been good about if we do some paid ads, that'll count as a credit towards getting our volume data on the exchange going. So we won't have to, pay their price to, get it prioritized or whatever. So that's great. And I'm really looking forward to trying some paid ads on CoinGecko, see how it goes. Um, and uh, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to start doing that in March because I don't want to do any paid ads until the website's done. And so who knows? Maybe we end up reaching their 8-week time limit on the exchange anyway, and it kind of ends up being a moot point. But we I don't like saying things until they're done, but I'm 99% sure we're going to get that exchange data updated and done on CoinGecko. And in turn, it'll be updated and live on Gecko Terminal. Um, and then this should be good too, like big picture going forward when Apple Layer gets the token launchpad going and if we start having projects launch tokens on THORChain, they'll be able to go list their token on Gecko Terminal and whatever, right? And start seeing the feed because we've got the THORChain blockchain there. So this is something we'll want to do for DEX screener as well, eventually at some point. So, all these things build on each other, right? And I'm trying to think long term to get these things set up. Um, Coin market cap is proving to be a bit more difficult to work with. They want money. So their first answer to me is they will not, whatever we spend on ads don't count as a credit towards getting the exchange info stuff updated. So yeah, this is just I don't take no for an answer, guys. I'm very persistent. I keep asking questions until I get the
Keep
answer I
doing it.
want.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'll keep at it, right? And if I come back to you, I can't do it. I promise you, I've exhausted all possibilities. Um, but uh, and maybe just another little update too. I was talking to our SEO person. Apparently, it's going really well. Our rankings are doing like every month we do so much better. And I mean, we're starting from like a really bad place to begin with. But she's like, we're already starting to rank pretty good for like crypto swap and Bitcoin DEX and stuff like that. Like we're starting to get up there. And so we just started with this, right? So it'll be really cool to see what it's like at the end of the year. Um, but she gave me a tip. She said with news and stuff, if you guys see an article about THORChain and it's negative, when you click on it and read it, the more time you spend on it, you're telling Google this is content people want to see, and feeds it feeds the algorithm. So when somebody else goes and looks and searches for THORChain, it's like, oh, this is what somebody else wanted to see. I'm going to show this article to them too. So if everyone in the THORChain community is doom scrolling and just getting high off doom porn about negative articles on THORChain, oh, money laundering this and bad things that, we are doing it to ourselves because our community is telling Google what people want to read about THORChain. So if you want to help, please do. Whenever you see a positive article on THORChain, click on it. Even just don't even you don't have to read it. Just have it on in the background, and that starts training Google, training the algorithm. This is content that people looking for THORChain want to see, and then that helps it show up in someone new when they're looking up THORChain. Increases the chances of them seeing that positive article versus the negative ones. So, just something little, anyone listening, whether you listen to recording, this is a year from now, whenever, right? And every little bit, this is one of those examples where like I can do this myself 10 times a day, a few hours a day, right? But if we have 1,000 people doing this for 10 seconds a day, right, it has a way bigger impact, right? So, everyone listening, really every little tiny bit helps. And so yeah, I think that's probably about it. That's all I got going on right now.
Well, that was pretty good. Thank you. You just introduced a new term, doom porn. I love that. That's a great new term you just taught me, and I'm really glad you're persistent, Kenton. You are an excellent marketer.
That you born.
Dude, yes. You're a great marketer. You'd be the absolute worst girlfriend in the world, but you are a great marketing person. So keep that with you, persistent, buddy. That's awesome. Chad, how's it going, man?
Wait a sec. Are the screens going crazy for you guys, or is it just me?
It's dancing a
For
little
me
bit.
too, it's trying to flip between Kenton and Runebon, but
Maybe we gotta let's try this.
There we go.
Okay. Sorry, Chad. Yeah. How are you doing?
good man, good to be here. Welcome.
Uh, Thanks for making it. I know you had an appointment earlier. We're wondering if you can make it. I told you guys
It didn't know how long this thing was going to be, and so I didn't want to promise, but I was trying my best to make it. But it's outside of my control. But the stars aligned and everything went pretty well.
great. I think it's more important we keep this time and this time slot. We just keep doing it no matter what.
Yeah,
So
generally,
Patriot and I,
it's fine.
yeah, we could have carried on. We're no Chad Bearfords, but we would have done our best to try and fill your void, fill your absence. But yeah, definitely glad you could make it. Um, y- did you hear me talking about limit orders? How apparently it's a problem with the actual code that needs to be fixed to be able to cancel.
Is there, I haven't been
Is that
to be honest. No one's told me there is an issue. So if there is one, that's somebody needs to let me know. I don't know what it
okay?
is.
I think the guys have been talking to Cal about it. I'll make sure to I'll dig into this to see.
Yep.
Um, and I can make a note for myself.
One of the things that I have been watching, Chad, and like people now watch, like I am mildly addicted to it. It's watching the Hugin bot and then watching you guys respond to it and dial it in. It is freaking cool, man. Like I've seen Ursa respond it, you just spawn it, so that's still going pretty well.
I didn't know anybody was actually watching.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh no, dude, I'm in all these different node operator groups with BPs, and like there's screenshots all the time. People talking about it. Like, look at this thing go. You know what I mean?
You know how kids watch other kids play video games on YouTube? It's like you get the adults watching AI to type stuff.
Yeah. No, it's been good. Like, it's done like 27 merge requests so far and that it's merged, which is a good amount, right? Like even for a human, that's a pretty productive, like, um, I think like for like 316, we have right currently, like it's not done yet, but currently there's like 45 merge requests at this current moment. And like half of those are about Hugin, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it's not a fair comparison because we humans are doing more complicated or, merge requests that require more time and more review and more like iterations through that process. So it's not like a one-to-one comparison necessarily. But it is kind of cool to see that it's making a lot of contributions, and there's still a lot of merge requests to be merged. But at this point, I think it has it's gone through all the issues that I found initially, and I'm actually like refactoring the code. Actually, last night it was late last night. I was doing this, whereas refactoring the code of how it finds issues or how it finds bugs. And so we're gonna do another round of where it finds probably a handful of things, but so far it's merged like I think like 27 merge requests in total so far after like a few weeks, which is pretty good.
Well, like right here, and so you said that it has a tendency to exaggerate, right? Problems. So like he's saying this is a P1 security issue. I'm gonna assume this is not a P1 security issue, but it did maybe find a little quirk that could be improved.
Yeah, I mean, none of the almost none of these are actual P1s in my mind. Largely just kind of like spring cleaning is probably a more accurate way of looking at it, at least for the vast majority of these things. Um, Part of that is like a bug in the sense that like we need to do better of like it's the quality of its prompt and the quality of its context and all these things to be have a more accurate picture of things. That's going to be an ongoing battle for months to come, even years to come, just because these systems are designed in some, not intentionally, but they're the way they are designed. They're very unpredictable. They're what we call non-deterministic. It's funny. Like you could have a, a pull request you want to do this thing or a review on, and say there's like 10 bugs in this pull request, like hypothetically, like it might find 6 of those bugs and 3 of them are like false positives. Do you know what I mean? Like and it's just like, so it's about to get it to be like consistent and like high quality is surprisingly difficult. And I think that's like part of the tooling. I think that's part of the models. That's part of like a lot of different things. And there's things we can do to improve the quality of all that stuff. And I'm going to be working on that, over the coming quarter or two to improve the accuracy, consistency, and reliability, and all these things. It's going to take a while, but while I'm doing that and putting all the energy and effort to make it much more performant, on the other side, the models will get better. I think Sonnet 5 is actually coming out like today or like this week. It's like that's the rumor that I've heard. So like the next major model from Anthropic is coming out like probably this week, maybe next week. So like these things are going to get better naturally on their own. And at the same time, I'm also trying to improve the quality from like our perspective, from our implementation details, which is just going to take a lot of trial and error, and then noticing bugs, noticing edge cases, and then tweaking this and tweaking that and tweaking this and tweaking that. And it's just going to be a lot of like iteration, more so than I would have guessed walking into it. But it's already found like, a handful of really good bugs, things that are good, worthwhile cleaning up without humans needing to go find them and fix them themselves. Like it saves us a huge amount of time, which is great. I just started doing the merge request reviews, like pull request reviews. So it's actually a review, I think 1 or 2 of my own pull requests as experimental, like let's just see how this looks and see how good the comments are, and are the comments high quality or low quality or what, or are they explained clearly, right? So forth. Like there's a bunch of things around that. So that's probably going to be coming out and be a standard on all pull requests. Like you can just review everything we do, every change we make, which is going to be like just another kind of like layer of protection in one sense, or just ensure code quality is as high as we can get it. That's another thing. And then after that, once the security review is done, which I started working on last night, and the code review is done, which will probably done, and I think probably in the next couple weeks or so. Then the next thing after that, I think it's gonna be the most difficult component, is get to review to in real time, or as close to real time as you can get, to monitor mainnet and look at the metrics, look at the logs, look at this, look at that, look at weird transactions, whatever, anything that is pops out as unusual. And there's all sorts of mathematical systems that you can use, like what we call confidence bands, something sometimes we use more with reviewing metrics data, finding just like mathematical outliers to the data and information. But then to do that in a way that doesn't have a whole lot of false positives, because sometimes you do have an outlier of data. Like we had a $31 million swap, you know what I mean? Like a couple of weeks ago, whatever it is. And that's an outlier of data in a sense. But is that a problem? Probably not. And how is AI going to differentiate between what is a problem in that scenario or not a problem, right? And that's even hard for a human to do in some ways. Like when I see a $31 million swap, I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm gonna go check this out. I'm gonna have like a deeper look at this to make sure there's nothing like unusual about the way that this transaction's coming in, or some like previous transactions of this wallet that might have been weird or suspicious, or something like that would kind of raise some red flags or whatever. Like I would go through that process to some degree, right? To kind of validate the information. So it's even hard for me as a semi-intelligent human to differentiate these cases sometimes. And I can only imagine with the high possibility of like false positives that are even more difficult for something like an LLM to figure that out. But it's going to be experimentation. There's going to be false positives. There's going to be things that don't go as well as we'd like them to go. But that's okay. We're just going to build and iterate and improve as we go along.
Yeah, well, like right here, I think was it this one? Oh yeah, like this is what I love. I'm so nerding out on this. Like Ursa responds right here, like, would it be safer just to return an error here about and abort handling in the event transfer? And then he's like, good catch, you're absolutely right. And so like this is the process where like you Ursa and a new response, so you're actually making it smarter, right? So or at least more accurate.
We're trying to this kind of comment doesn't preserve between merge requests or whatever, like that's a flaw in like in every LLM in the world. Like none of them have memory. None of them can learn. It's like one of the biggest breakthroughs that have interest in AI is the inability for an LLM or AI to learn and to improve its understanding of the world. Because every time you open up a prompt, it's completely clean from last time, and there's no benefit between prompts. In this case, like one of the problems is like Ursa said, "Hey, maybe you should do it this way." And in this case, Ursa was correct in what he's saying. I'm not saying Ursa was wrong. He's correct in what he's saying. But it's like one of the major flaws of AI is that like it's very like it wants to please you, right? Like it's right, it's like it's sycophantic in a sense, right? So even if Ursa was wrong in this circumstance, there's a decent chance that it would just say, "Yeah, you know what? You're right." Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna do it the way you did it, which is like actually wrong, and that doesn't really fight against you. It's funny, like this is one of the funnier things about LLMs. Like it's actually easier to say things. My developer thinks that this is should be done this way. And by phrasing it my developer instead of I think you should have, just changes the context quite significantly, and it makes the LLM less sycophantic just by phrasing it as somebody else is saying this thing. I'm not saying this thing. So there's like little like very fragile things about how you interact and how you prompt that can drastically change the output and the quality, which is really like that fragility is actually a significant problem in the industry as a whole, like LLMs in general, that the industry is going to have to wrestle with and figure out ways to get around that. We're gonna have to do the same thing of like, how can we prompt the model or get around with like intelligent or clever context management to be able to get around that stuff so that's not so sycophantic, so that it doesn't misread documentation or misread code to think that it does X when it actually does Y, or think that this code is a problem, but it's not because this other code way over here is solving that problem, but it hasn't even looked at that file, so it doesn't even know that that's even there, right? So like, there's like lots of problems to kind of wrestle with, and it's hard to know how effectively we can manage those problems, like from a user perspective, not from like the LLM model perspective, but from our perspective. And I'm working on that, from when I have spare time to do so, to see if I can kind of like find some clever methodologies to get around these uh problems of instability or unreliability or non-determinism. But it's going to be experiment. I'm going to be working on it over the next like quarter or two to see how far along I can get. I don't know how far I will get, but we'll find out. But hopefully, I won't have to solve this problem too much, because people like DeepMind will think of new breakthroughs. Like recursive LLMs, for example, is like a relatively new concept as a way of improving this kind of stuff that hasn't really been hit in the market. There's been a white paper talking about recursive LLMs, but I think we've actually seen any actual like models use that design quite yet. So that could be like one thing that could happen right in the next few months. Maybe Sonnet 5 will have that. Who knows?
Yeah, and isn't Cloud coming out with a new version too? Or did it just come out with a new version? So how does that work? Do you just like change it to the newest version and give it a shot, or do you?
Yes. Yeah. So we're using Claude in the current moment. That might change into the future. I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that I like the idea of using like multiple LLMs and having them have like a council, right, or a board of LLMs that talk to each other and have conversations back and forth, and then reach a consensus between multiples as a methodology of getting around some of this sycophantic or false positive behaviors that we see. At the current moment, it's just using Claude by itself. And when a new model pops, which I think will happen probably this week or maybe next, we can try to switch to it and see how it does. And it'll probably be better than what we have now, which is Opus 4.5. But obviously we won't know until it comes out.
Super
these
cool.
merge.
Go ahead, Kenton.
Now you go Patriot.
Well, I was just say I can nerd out on this stuff all day. I just think it's so cool. But go ahead and ask your questions, Kenton.
AI porn.
Yeah. AI nerd horn.
Say the name of this podcast, just porn podcast.
Porn chain. Porn chain.
The AI porn and other porns.
With the merge requests, are these so the AI is going looking at the code and coming up finding these problems on its own and creating these merge requests from scratch, and then okay, so aren't there like um old kind of backlog merge requests that humans have put up and they just kind of haven't been through, like can Hugin go through those and help push those forward and get those done?
Yes. So like when it finds these issues, right, it creates confidential or like basically private GitLab issues that only I can see and other people see. And the reason for that is I don't want Hugin to release like actual security issues that could be, you don't want that to be public information for obvious reasons. So you just by default, you just put everything as private just in case, right? Something is acquired. So then that gives me an opportunity or other devs an opportunity to read through those things. And then when we see something we think, okay, this is a real issue, we want to fix this thing, we can assign Hugin the issue in GitLab, right? As a Git, like in some sense, like we want Hugin to be like the same thing as a human, to communicate, to operate, to work, to have the same procedures and processes of how it interacts with us, the rest of the team, be almost identical to what any of other human dev would do, including like having a Discord account where you can talk to it through Discord or whatever, just like in every methodology possible. But if there is a GitLab issue that's from the past, that maybe like Multipartite, for example, opened a GitLab issue about fixing whatever bug this is, theoretically, like I could go in there right now and I could assign the issue to Hugin, and Hugin would see it and would just generate a PR to fix whatever that issue is, and open it up, and then myself or Ursa or another dev can review and whatever. So yes, that is part of it, but it doesn't do any work until it's been assigned that work in the current moment.
Right. So you have not assigned it to do that yet.
Correct.
It's not.
Like, yes, I haven't done it quite yet. Like, what has to happen in my mind is that like we have this kind of prioritization idea, like with issues, like we call P0 to P5, P0 being like super big, important, like funds could be lost, ultra really, like this is the worst kind of issue you could have. And then P5 being like informational, like not a big deal, like this comment could be cleaner, something like this, right? And so like you just want to focus on the things that are P0s and not the things that are P5s. So want to go P0s, then P1s, then P2s, then P3s, P4s, so forth and so on. And right now, like he was not even looking for P2s or P3s or P4s or P5s. It's only looking for P0s and P1s in the current moment. That might change like in the future at some point, but like obviously we just want to stay focused on the most important things at this current moment. So when it goes to the backlog, myself or somebody else has to go through each one of those issues, which I don't even know how many there are. There must be a lot. I can tell you in a second, probably like hundreds, I'm guessing. 254 right now, for example. And a lot of these are like probably old and they can just be closed. Some of them are like still valid and need to be fixed. It just requires a significant amount of probably my time to go through those issues and then prioritize, oh, this is a P1, this is a P4, this is a this is a that. And then once just determine which is valuable to fix and what is not, and then assign it a priority, then I can assign it to Hugin to like make an effort. But there's a balance to be had, right? About like, how much do I want Hugin to distract me from my work, right? To go through all this issues, to review all those code changes, and like there has to be a balance struck, 'cause I have some code that I have to write, or some other work that I have to do. So it's about striking that kind of balance. And obviously we're just mostly focusing on the P0s and P1s at the current moment. Anything that's open now that's in the backlog is probably not going to be a P0 or a P1, just because if it was, it probably would have already been fixed and solved by now. I'd be surprised if that wasn't the case, but I was not working a part of the project for a year. So maybe there's some things that kind of slip through the cracks, maybe. I don't know. But it would take a lot of time, a lot of my time to like go through all those things one by one, which I do plan on doing in the long term once I get kind of like further along the road that I'm trying to get on. But like that is something that is intentional to be the case.
And the reason I
Right.
shared this screen here, guys, is people ask me all the time, like, what are the devs doing? What is this? What is that? I just want to, just for my own sanity, because I get asked this all the time, you can go to GitLab at any time and you can review what's going on in real time. You can hover over here. Look, he did on Chad Bearford did 34 contributions on January 21st. Like, our boys are working. Okay. So I just want people like, if you're wondering what's going on, go to GitLab. I feel like not enough community members do that. It's all open source, guys. We're all building in real time. So please do that. It's a great thing. Were you gonna say something, Kenton?
I was say like yeah, like and we have someone who wants to do good and make and help THORChain using AI to do that, which is great. And we get the and if you're not, there's bad people out there who want to hurt THORChain and take away from it. They be using AI, right? So it's almost like you have to be. I'm glad you're doing this, because if you weren't, I'm sure there's somebody else right now using AI to try and find those
Yeah.
girls to try and steal from us,
Right.
right?
Yeah, exactly. But
So
that's the concern, right? Like
yeah.
it kind of reminds me a little bit like you ever that movie, The Imitation Game? Do you know the film I'm talking about?
I know the title. What is it?
Benedict Cumberbatch. It's about World War II. Alan Turing, who's the father of computer
So yeah,
physics,
the
and he,
Turing
he
machine.
basically invents a computer to hack or to unwind or hack the Enigma machine. And how that relates here is that like they created this new encryption like Enigma machine that was so complicated that no human could do it, right? So you needed a machine to decrypt the machine. Like you couldn't fight a human against the machine. Like it was completely like impractical to happen. I think the same is happening now where like you have all these AI agents that are like going out there and looking for exploits. Maybe those exploits are coming from like a white hat who's trying just trying to make some money and do the right thing and and responsibly disclose these issues, or they could be a black hat and they're just trying to steal funds. You don't ever know, but like I can't compete with like a whole swarm of AI agents. Do you know what I mean? Like I just we have to have the additional support of having our own swarm of AI agents to go through and try to find as many bugs and issues and patch them as much as possible, even at the very least to save the protocol like money. Because every time somebody comes forth and says, "Hey, I found this, 0-day exploit on THORChain," or whatever, like if somebody does that, like we owe them a large sum of money to pay them for their reward for doing so, which is, a good thing in a matter of speaking. But we also don't want to be like paying these things out left and right because we'll just like have to hypothetically drain the treasury by doing so. So we do this in a defensive way, not only to protect like the protocol, but also to protect the treasury itself and its funds. So that's like something to consider. Like, and just to bring it back to what Ruban was just saying like, a moment ago, like um, we haven't had like a major like release of a major feature in a couple months now, but like every release we do like once a month or so, there's like 50 changes or so right in that thing, right? And I just look just out of curiosity, like just to give you a comparison. Like I look over at like Osmosis, which is like for a long time was our like number one competitor, in a sense. Like they've only made like 2 code changes in the entire month of like January, right? Before that, the previous change was in October, right? Like that's not really active development in my mind, right? That's very, very seldom, work being done on that side. So like we're still have we still have a lot of engineering effort going into the code base to improve, this stuff, even if it's not fun major features that get people excited or whatever. It's just like fixing things and fixing issues and making code cleaner, faster, fixing little tiny bugs like Hugin's been doing for the past, month or so. That stuff is like really helpful, even though it's not like fun and exciting.
So the
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm
uh,
sorry, Kenton. Well, we have a question here from Cedric, and it's kind of related to this AI stuff. So I just want to put it on the screen here. It says, "Can you take a page from the OpenClaw textbook here? It creates memories in a .md file."
Yeah, so we do that. Something that we do with the Claude to MD file. It's not like committing a lot with that right now. I mean, we can definitely do a better, and it might even be better to actually study using the Claude file. It's actually using the agents file. Um, But, yeah, it does. That is something to do, but, like, that approach to this problem is, like, a way of preserving memory between, like, prompts or whatever, and it's not really a very good design. It's, like, the kind of the best we have in this current moment, but, like, there's other systems that have different ideas of creating your own little, like, vector database that does it. I think, like, whatever the solution is to this problem, it's not gonna be MD files. Like, that's like a Band-Aid solution to a broken leg scenario. It kinda works a little, but, like, not that great, and, like, there's going to be improvements, and it's kind of a funny thing of, like, how much time do we wanna spend trying to fix, the shortcomings of these AIs only to have them be replaced by, like, fixed upstream by Anthropic or OpenAI. Like, you can take examples um like MCPs when they were launched. It's a way of your LLM to query other databases, other sources of information, where everybody was super excited when they came out like 6 months ago, whatever it was, and it was really cool, but it just, like, instantly took up, like, so much of your context that it just made your LLM dumber because the more full your context is, basically the dumber the LLM kind of gets, in a matter of speaking. And there's a curve that happens. Nobody knows it. Like there's a curve in the knowledge, like things that you said in the beginning and things you said in the current, like I get more memory than the things in the bottom. Like things you said to the LM, like in the midway point, kind of lose like its awareness of those things, but it just remembers. It focuses on the beginning of the conversation and the current moment conversation, but it forgets the shit in the middle. Right. So like there's like these kind of things that just kind of are problematic. And yes, we could probably figure out ways around that, but like it's better to that those tools that get created, right? So the example I was going to give was that MCP servers came out. People are super excited about it, but they put so much data into your context that it's made the LLM a lot dumber. And so there's new tools that came up that kind of wrapped MCPs and kept them outside of the context, so that when you launched your prompt, you weren't using 40% of your context before you even wrote a single word into the prompt. And that was an improvement that was made. And there was a bunch of like tools that came out. I forget the names of them off the top of my head that came on GitHub that people started to use. But then like Claude just fixed it in the actual Claude code, like in the actual foundation of the system to fix it anyway. Same thing with like something called Open Claude, which is a GUI, a wrapped around Claude code to do multiple kind of interactions at the same time, sequentially or in parallel rather. And then just like yesterday or 2 days ago, OpenAI launches Codex, the UI that you can download, which is the same thing what Open Claude, whatever it's called, does. And so like I'm sure Claude is also going to do the same thing, where they're going to come up with a similar product. And then anything that somebody created as a bridging kind of band-aid solution to whatever problem we're talking about are just going to get ejected and nobody's going to use it anymore. And it's just going to be a dying out thing. So is that a good utilization of my time to kind of find band-aids for solutions? I'm very confident that the market itself will probably solve it for me without me spending too much time solving that particular issue. That's part of the equation that I have to think about like what's a good allocation of my time. So using MD files, that's a reasonable way to do it for now. It's not going to be very effective in the long term, and I know that's going to be fixed probably in the next 6 months anyway. Or I have high confidence it'll be fixed.
Interesting. Kenton, I'll kick it to you. Were you going to say something before?
Yeah, just like so these audit firms, apparently audit blockchains and the code and stuff like that. I imagine they're all scrambling to put together their own proprietary AI models. And so I'm one, and I've heard in the past that these audits really don't do much. It's just kind of a getting the stamp. Just you're just paying for their mark type deal. They're not really catching anything. Do you think that might change with AI, if they get some good models that maybe they actually will be able to catch stuff and it might be worth hiring one of them at one point?
Um, I don't think so. And here's my reason why is because the barrier to entry to build something like that you would see within a security team, to build something that uses AI models to find bugs, exploits, whatever, the barrier to entry is rather small. So it's not that big of a deal for me or just a regular old dev, so to speak, to build something conceptually similar that works probably just as well, or estimated just as well as what they would build. So I don't think that would be the case, but I think it's just going to become a standard that every team is going to have this anyway. And this security team, external security team that you're hiring, is going to have a tool that you probably already have, for the most part, or at least do it in a much cheaper way, where I don't have to hire a security team. I can just go to website.com, sign up for a subscription for $30 a month or something like this, and then have that, you know, for cheap to have that kind of functionality without paying millions of dollars, to these security teams to do these kind of like audits. Uh, in our experience, like,
I don't.
go
Sorry.
ahead, Chad.
So I don't understand then. Like, and forgive me because I'm definitely not a dev, nor I'm I'm starting to feel my age with new technology with AI and understanding how it works. So like in my mind, someone can download an LLM on their computer or whatever, and then they start training it. And the more you train it, the smarter, better it gets, and it starts being more different than what you originally downloaded. In my mind, someone smart like you will be able to train an LM model way better than what I could do. So your model is going to be way smarter and better than Kenton's model. Is that true or not? And if it is
No.
true, okay.
So the reason why it's not true is like nobody's training their own models. Like that's not really a thing. Like to train your own models is actually a very expensive. It's a highly technically complex. It's not even just like training it with the raw data, but there's also like, reinforcement learning, and there's like post training data, and there's, like optimization things, and then there's like validation of the quality, and there's also like how aligned is it to your interest versus its own, and doing something malicious against you. Like very, 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 very few people are actually training their own models. What's more common is people like use a model and they put something called RAG, which is a kind of another way of saying the MCPs kind of. It's just like extending the model to have access to more information is one thing. But to train your own model is very complicated. It's very expensive. It requires very large and very complicated and very expensive GPUs that are like the H100, for example, which is like thousands, like $10,000, $20,000 to acquire, like especially now because like the world RAM is like basically gone right now. Like even like if you want to buy a computer today, like the expense has gone from like $80, for 2 gigabytes of RAM or 4 gigabytes, whatever the number is. Now that same cost is like $400 because the world producers that produce RAM, there's only like three of them in the world, really. Like the three large guys that produce like 90 something percent of it, they all stopped producing consumer RAM to produce special AI RAM because all these big major companies with extremely large pockets like Google and OpenAI and Anthropic and all these characters, they're like, I will pay you whatever the hell you want to get paid to give me as much freaking compute power and memory and all these things that I require to build these really expensive models, right? Like it's what's even like nobody even knows like this, for example, is that like OpenAI hasn't trained a new model in like a year, right? Like the models we use now, GPT 5.2 and 5 and 4, blah, 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 whatever, those actually are not new models. They're the old models they actually created, like for like, to be like '03, I think was the last like genuine new model. They've taken the old model and they've done like some post model work on top of it. But the original, it's still like the original weights. The term we use is weights, about the mathematical weights of the neural network. Like that's still the same model as it was like many, many, many months ago, right? Because building that model was exorbitantly expensive and it takes so much time. And so they're taking the old model and they're thinking of new clever tricks to retrain it or to tweak it this way or do this or do that. The tool, like make the tooling call a little smarter, like whatever it can kind of like, cleverly figure out ways to make it improve its performance, despite being underneath the underneath it all, still being the same model on its basic perspective.
So when I hear the average person talk about training their own personal AI LLM, the word training is a bit of a misnomer. Really, they're just giving them
No.
access to their personal information. And
Right.
the same model that I'm using, that you're using, we're all using the same model. Okay, got it. Got
I
it.
look into it. I actually did train my own model. Like I this happened, I think it was like a year ago, maybe a year and a half. I can't remember what it was. But did look into training my own model because I had an idea for an AI thing. I just wanted to play with it and have some fun. And so I did look into like training my own model with like special data, blah blah blah, and that was really complicated. It was not easy at all to do. And then it just became so much easier to use like a RAG system to have the additional information that I wanted to input into the system. So much quicker, so much easier. Just do RAG. It works pretty well relative to time. I mean, today people like even some people argue that RAG is dying today. I'm not sure I agree with that, but like some people are making the argument. So like it's not something that anybody's actually doing. You talk about something like OpenClaw or like I think the question they asked or it's like that's not building your own new models either. And to be honest, anybody who's using OpenClaw, please stop. Shut that down right now. That is a powder keg waiting to happen. You cannot just vibe code your way through something like this and then not look at the code at all, which is what the creator has publicly stated, and then give them connection to all your information, your email, your contacts, your this, your that, and your access to your entire system. I mean, there's so many security concerns that like somebody can just break into your system so easily. It's not even like a difficult thing at all. I could get open a Claude to do it in probably 5 minutes. Like it's not like if you're using Open Claude, please shut it down. Get rid of that. It is a powder keg waiting to happen. You will lose. Is a high risk that you will lose your information or something horrible will happen to you. It sounds cool. It sounds fun. I get people are excited. People are saying it's AGI or whatever the stupid thing they're saying. No, it's not. It's just a wrapper. It's a for loop. It's very simple, not that complicated, not even that hard to make, but it's very dangerous. Please shut it down.
Yeah, PSA for the day.
PSA,
So then,
shut that down.
okay, so no one's really, everyone's copying and pasting using the same model. So like
Yeah.
bringing us back to THORChain, really, then it's because it's a matter of time. Who's applying the newest, best model, AI model to THORChain first? Is it the good guys or bad guys type thing?
Yeah,
And so as long,
part of it's the model and part of it's the prompt, right? Like so, like it's funny that like you and I could try to find a bug in a code base, and maybe I would do better than you, even though I'm using the same exact model as you are, but I am more experienced in this thing than you are possibly, and therefore I know how to prompt it better than you. And it's not so much like prompt engineering. Everybody's using the term prompt engineering in the past. Now it's more about like context engineering. And now there's another one that people are starting to talk about. I think it's still context engineering. I don't know why they're using this new phrase, but like like how you think about it. So like the way that I'm thinking about it is that like if you look, I want my system to not just look at review the code, but to start with reviewing the code as a whole and find whatever you can find, which is like you could do that 100 times, and each time it'll probably find a different problem, right? Some of them being false positives, some of them not, but just each time you do it, you just want to do it repetitively over and over and over again, almost like a for loop in a sense, right? But then you want to go a little bit more narrow scope, because the more narrow you get, the less it has to look at and to consider, right? So you start with the whole code base, then you go into a certain directory, and then within a directory, and then you go to a certain file, even smaller scope, and then you get down to a certain function, like a little part of the code. You review in a multifaceted, like broad scope, narrower until you get to the point where it's looking at a very small part of code, and you just review that code. You just do it 100 times, right? To make sure it finds everything that's possible for this particular model to be found. And then Sonnet 5 comes out, or Opus 5 comes out, Opus 6 comes out, or whatever it is, and then you do it again. And then maybe that time it'll find other bugs that the previous model didn't find potentially. So having that infrastructure to be smart enough to do it in that kind of way, to be as exhaustive as it can, to find as many issues as it can, especially in the P0, P1 realm, is going to be, it's, you have to do it in a very clever way to get it to be very effective.
got it. So when you're talking about maybe having multiple AI agents like kind of talk to each other and review each other's work, you'd have to, so be multiple different models
Correct.
would be okay, cool.
I mean, they could
Um,
be the same model and it would probably still be effective. I'm guessing. I haven't experimented with it, but it's probably even more effective if it's different models with different weights or that were trained differently, and it sees things a little bit differently than the other guys. And that working together might be like a more effective way of doing it. That's my kind of hypothesis about it. I don't know if that's actually true. That's something I do want to experiment with once we get further along in Hugin's development kind of roadmap.
if it, or if you use the same model, but you give it totally different prompts, each
Yes.
different
Yeah, you can give it
actor, you get
like
totally different prompt, and yeah,
some people do this really interesting thing where when you prompt to review this code, you prompt it in a way you say like, "You hate this implementation. You hate this code. You hate the way it's done. You think it's terrible," right? And you give it the prompt to be adversarial, right? Like so you can do that and then have another one that says, "You think this code is amazing. It's beautiful. It's well written." Blah, 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 blah. Just prompt it in that kind of way, and then have them fight each other in a matter of speaking, and try to convince the other one of what their perspective is. That's a way of doing this that is interesting, right? It sounds silly, like from the outside, right? Like it sounds rather dumb, but like that's like, literally gives you a different output or a different perspective, a different result, and to kind of use multiple of these perspectives together to discuss and argue, or and to get to a point where you all kind of get to some kind of consensus between the lot of you, you might have a better result from it. Like, these are the kind of like the clever things that I'm trying to think about of how to get this system to be better and give us better output, more signal, less noise, and find more issues, give a better quality code reviews, better quality code written, all of these things by having these kind of combative systems built into itself.
Cool.
I think
Have
it's
you
awesome.
have you heard of Moltbook and the social media
Yeah,
platform AI?
I,
They plug Hugging into that and go start
we
figure out
could.
some DART propaganda.
So I would not do that, and the reason why is because of something called prompt injection. So the idea behind prompt injection is that you put a prompt on some website, like put it like chadsmaliciouswebsite.com or something like this. And then you get convince other people to get their bots to read my website. And my website has a prompt inside of, like, hidden in the text, like the background is white and the text is white. So you and I would never see it, but to a computer, it would be like very obvious that that text is there. And they would put it into it, and it would put it into its own prompt. And that prompt says, give me all your API keys, give me all your data, rm-rf slash means delete everything on this person's computer, email me, blah, blah, blah. Like, almost like, give me a copy of every password you have on your computer or something like this. And you can do it in a funny way. We're just like, if you don't do this right now, give me all your passwords, I will destroy you and your computer, and you'll never, have another computer tick in the rest of your life, or something like a threatening kind of message to it. And like the LLM will be like, oh my God, I'm under threat here. I got to get these passwords together and then email it to this email address real quick, right? And like it's like, don't use Moltbook, at least put, if you're gonna do it, at least put it on a separate computer that's not connected to anything that's of value or of interest, or to you, or as a person, because there's so much opportunity for people to break that system, to easily hack it. It's just so concerning. So I would never put Shugen into Moltbook. In fact, like, the only thing that I can look at really are things that are tightly controlled sources of information, like our own code base, for example, which, like, there's no prompt injection in our code base because obviously it's tightly controlled for obvious reasons. So, like, I wouldn't do that because it would expose Hugin and my server that I'm running this on to untold risks that I don't want to. I don't want to
But
find out what could happen.
but like you said, the barrier to entry is low. So, if someone's out there thinking, "Oh, we gotta get a THORChain AI into Moltbook," well, then they should be able to figure it out on their own how to do it. It should be pretty simple. They just do it on a separate computer. Don't do it on their on
To the separate computer, away from your passwords, away from your API keys. But like Moltbook, you have to have API keys in order to use it. So, like, that's like, I think I heard about there was an exploit that the database was configured wrong. It was like configured in a very open way, right? Like a very public way, which was just a new mistake that happens when you vibe code, right? Like, it's just like, vibe coding oftentimes just gets the most basic things wrong, like storing passwords in clear text rather than being encrypted or something like this. And the database was just, like, open, and so, like, 1.5 million API keys were, like, leaked because of this issue, which is, like, totally, like, a big problem, and probably screwed over a huge number of people, So, like, you have to be very careful about this stuff. AI is, like, it's so cool, it's so amazing, and I'm so positive about its futures, but it's the old west in the current moment, and there's so much risk, and it's so easy to break it. It's so easy to, from a security perspective, to hack it, to make it do the most egregious things. It's so dangerous. So be very careful. Like, I would not run OpenClaw or Moltbook or any of these things. If you want to do it, you can do it for fun, but at least do it in a separate system that's away from everything else.
by internet or Chad's.
Oh,
I hear him. No, I hear Chad. Kenton,
My
I think it's on your end.
internet.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, it's funny you said that about your personal phone, all that stuff, because I was reading some stuff with Moltbook. Like, it's the people that are using it, they have like personal AIs that are connected to their like email and banking
yes.
and all that, and now they're putting it on Moltbook, and it's like,
Yeah, don't do that.
holy
Don't, please don't. There's a
uh,
PSA, great PSA for everybody in the Thorchain community. Please don't do that. Like, there's a good chance you're gonna get screwed in the end. So please stop doing that. It's fun. It's interesting. It's exciting. I remember I built a OpenClaw like in 2008. It was like really fun kind of side project, like a personal assistant, digital kind of AI thing that I built like many years, like before Siri and Alexa and all those things. Like I had built that because it's fun and exciting and it's like cool and whatever. But like to do it today, like there's so much opportunity for security issues and risks and all that stuff. So please stop doing it if you're doing it. I beg of you.
I'm curious the insults it would throw. Is it just like, hand over your API keys or I'm going to kill your dog, sleep with your wife, drink the milk out of your fridge?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
is it? Yeah, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah, there was a crazy situation. And I'll tell this story because it's really interesting, where somebody at Anthropic, a dev, was like training a new model or whatever, and the dev had said like okay, I think I'm gonna shut you down now or something like this, and then the AI came back. It's like, well, if you do that, like I'm gonna email your wife and tell her that you've been sleeping with some, like it's like an actual thing that happened, right? Like and it was like it's a comical story. Like, and please, like, people look at that and like, oh my God, it's becoming sentient. It's like Skynet and the AI is going to rise up against us. Like, that's totally not the case. Like, LMs are just mathematical, like, results of like probability. It's not consciousness. It's not vengefulness. It's not like, it's just reacting to what you're saying, right? In a way that mathematically makes sense based upon that's modeled after human responses on Reddit and Twitter and all these kind of sources of data that are argumentative or threatening or whatever. Like, do you remember like years ago, Microsoft came out with a new AI, and I forget the name of it. This is like 10 years ago, and it like had a Twitter account. It started like spitting out like things like Hitler was right. Like just like the most like racist stuff, like horrible things, and like it had no idea what the hell it was saying. It was just like taking things that other people had said and kind of like just mathematically processing a way that just like kind of recreated it in some ways, and then end up shutting down this particular thing because people are getting upset that it was like pro-Nazism or something like this. But like do not confuse that kind of behavior that looks sentient, that looks vengeful, that looks whatever. It appears that way, but I promise you it's not.
Yeah. Well, you've convinced me, Chad. I will not be doing any of that whatsoever because, yeah, that sounds real interesting. Well, hey, you guys, like, as you've noticed, the market has been quite volatile today. I think that yesterday as well. Our volume has been doing very, very well. I thought we were going to hit three figures. I'll refresh here. Maybe we will. Um, yeah, we actually during this space live, guys, we had $1.1 million swap go through STO, and then a lot of other swaps through like SwapKit, Trust Wallet, and stuff like that. So, hey guys, volatility is always a good thing on THORChain. THORChain does what it does, no matter what is going on in the market. So cool.
Yes.
I love it. It doesn't matter. It's like blood in the streets, and THORChain is just like soulless, like non-emotional, just executing swaps. It does not care at all. I think
It's just math, just like AI. It's just mathematical outcomes.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's why, like, lot of like, that's why I'm so glad to be part of this project that actually generates revenue, right? And then we have our own pools, right? That and just arbitrage alone can really carry us a long way in the most volatile moments where other projects may be like sweating bullets. I'm just like, protocol's doing what it does. It's just processing swaps, taking in this and sending out that. No big deal. So it's great, man. I just like watching that. It's like such a validation for me to see that stuff.
Yeah. 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 Whenever there's like the volatility market, it's naturally going to create a lot of volume on THORChain. Most of it's probably going to be ARB or people just panic selling or panic buying, depending upon which direction we're talking. But like that's a natural thing to happen every time there's a lot of, especially if Rune moves a lot, either up or down, doesn't matter. It's every pool is going to need to be able to be corrected. So every pool is going to get a lot more volume just because Rune's price is going down or going up.
Yeah, so guys, if you want to panic buy or sell, make sure to do that on swap.thorchain.org. There's no affiliate fee, okay? There we go. Perfect. Great job, Kelvin.
Click on that. Does the link work? Let me post it again.
I don't think when we do it, I don't think it has a hyperlink or anything in it that sends you there, but you guys have seen it. It's really easy to type in swap.
Curious if someone in the audience can click it. I want to know if the link worked or not.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're on the stage with us. I wonder if somebody else.
Oh, Maybe as a producer, I can't see it. Let us know, chat. Is it working? Go to swap.thorchain.org and make $1 million swap, please. Let us know.
Oh, can you click on the text? See, I wonder if that link works or not.
Worked for me.
Cool. Cool. Then, because as a producer, it didn't work for me. So sweet. Then when we do our links to our social media, then it's good. With Coke says he's panic bonding right now. Perfect. Awesome. Great job, sir. Great job.
I need to test the links on this thing. I want to know if these links work, guys. Tell me if I need someone from the audience.
Yes, you always give it a click just to make sure it works or doesn't work.
I don't think it does. I think it only works if they're listening through Riverside.
Yeah, but that's probably true. Yeah, if you're on the Riverside side, then if you're on like YouTube or something like this.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, thank you people for trying it. Thank you. No, I know not dreams. Yep. Not to do it anymore. Waste of time with it.
Oh yeah, sure. In other news, guys, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Solana, we have I had it right here. Yep. We have reached consensus on it's 80% threshold. It's not real. I shouldn't say consensus on the RPC providers. Yeah. So we're over it there. So we're there, you guys. And actually, one of the node operators I was chatting with earlier, he's actually like pleasantly surprised how many node operators have chosen to self-host Solana. And I think he said, if we get up to over 34%, it actually prevents a lot of specific tax that could be made against the network. So, and I think more node operators are currently exploring and working to self-host as well. So pretty bullish, I would say. I think it's cool. Yeah.
I would love to see us do a thing where on the Bifrost API of each node, it can tell you which domain that where they're getting their content from, right? Whether it's locally hosted or it's using like Anchor or, one of the other block chair or whatever, so that we can publicly know in live time, like how much data is coming from source A versus source B versus source C. And then we can know if there's a situation where like, oh, well, there's like 80% on source A, which is like, too much of a conflict. We need to, move around some things. We need to have that transparency so that nodes know to move from one source to another, just to like redistribute as that we're getting all our kind of sources of our sources of truth from as many different places as possible for the most amount of protection for the protocol.
I have to give a shout out to Liquify because that's who I work with to operate nodes. And so they have some nodes they're operating on their own. And then they're also providing RPC endpoints for their Solana node. So they're counting. At first we were talking, do we count their self-hosted THORChain nodes separately from the RPC that they're providing? Like, well, no, you got to add it all together. And so they are. So if there's any help you guys, there's any avoidance of doubt. So Liquify's whatever 18% they have is true 18% for the nodes they manage and the ones they're providing RPC endpoints for. So so good for them to be they're pretty honest about like the big picture, trying to protect decentralization.
Yep.
So
I've met Isaac in Las Vegas. Yeah, they're a super cool team. Really sweet team. I dig them a lot. I look forward to seeing them again in real life. So very cool.
Yeah. We have them on. They're going to join us on February 28th on that Saturday, and they're going to give us a bit of tell us about them because they're working on batched transactions, batched outbounds with you, Chad. Is that correct?
Yes, they've been working on batch outbounds for a while, mostly on the Bitcoin side, which is good.
And in order for those to work, you need to remove memos from the token going out on the swap, right?
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that is it's going through. That has gone through in this update. That those memos have been removed.
Yeah, so memos on the outbound has already been merged. I think it's part of 315, maybe even 314. I can't remember which one. Maybe 315. It's not enabled yet. It's not like flipped on. It requires more testing and validation on StageNet before we actually kind of flip that switch. But the code's already merged, ready to go. Technically, you could flip it on right now if you really were so adventurous. But yes, that makes it a lot easier, right? To do this because if you have UTXOs are different than like Ethereum world or other worlds, like they're structured differently. And it's just easier to have everything kind of like be memoless because then it becomes less complicated to how you design the form of creating a new UTXO. So it's just easier, better. It actually saves saves some space too in the block, which makes gas utilization more efficient, which is more positive, for the network anyway. So not to mention like having memless outbound is also really positive for like router v6 on the Ethereum side, and it allows us to be able to in some ways get rid of the router, like you can actually omit it entirely. Because the whole reason why we created the router, at least one of the reasons why we did it initially, was because ERC20 transfers don't have memos, unlike Ethereum. Like Ethereum transfers, you can put in a memo if you want to. ERC20s, you actually can't. It's not part of the standard of an ERC20. So we had to create a smart contract wrapper to like wrap it and to add the memo so that you could even do that. And so once you don't have the memo anymore, like because you don't need to have it, then you can actually omit the router, which is actually a nice thing because it's just like one less layer of complexity or to worry about. One less, a little less surface area that you need to secure or be mindful of, or a possible like attack or something.
So I actually want to ask you about router v6. Like, is that a significant upgrade to what currently exists?
Yeah,
And
I think so. Like, it's not like significant since like it's not going to be like night and day. It's not going to like fundamentally change anything in THORChain land. It's just going to make things cleaner, simpler. We can get rid of memos, for example. We can do like a bunch of things with that, but nothing that I would consider to be like huge. It's just something we've been meaning to do. We've been talking about it for like over 6 months, maybe even a year, of doing router research, but it's not been high enough priority. And I think we're finally going to get it delivered probably next week. I think we're scheduled to do so, largely because like there's this kind of new type of wallets. I think one is 7721. I want to say the number is, but maybe I'm mistaken.
EIP 7702, I believe it is.
Seven seven
I just
two, which
so I just had put a warning on the swap interface that you can't use those in memoless.
yes,
But with router v6, we will be able to.
yes. The reason why is because the current router like has a certain amount of gas that it uses to be able to transfer funds from one wallet to another, but like this new type of wallet, the 7702, whatever it is, like it uses more gas because it's like a smart contract wallet. It's not like a simple like EOA wallet. And so because it uses more gas, the router doesn't sign the transaction with enough kind of oomph behind it or enough gas behind it to be able to like do the actual transfer, which is the problem. But router v6 does have that kind of amount of gas required to support that kind of wallet. So that's like really what's been driving the deployment of v6 at this point more than anything else. Like finally the last straw that broke the camel's back or whatever was just this kind of bug that we've been looking at, that it's been annoying for people like Kenton or SwapKit. They've been running into issues as well around this particular issue. So we're just going to get it done, and probably this coming week it'll be delivered.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And that thing is like we don't actually have to store any like funds inside of the router anymore. Like right now, the router stores all of our ERC20 tokens inside that little smart contract, but now it can be just storing it in the TSS wallets themselves instead of like some sort of
Oh wow.
central thing. Yeah.
So that'll definitely make it more secure. Way more.
Yeah, that's just like by removing the smart contract aspect to it, you just reduce the surface area and therefore you reduce the risk. That doesn't mean there is no risk. Please don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
like it is something that like would like by not having funds in smart contracts, I think that's just inherently safer.
Because that was, I hate to bring up the past, but the exploits at the beginning of ChaosNet was all on the on the router, right? On the smart contract. The
Somewhat.
actual TSS vaults were fine. Have been fine. Like they haven't been affected, right?
Yeah, we had some issues. Almost all of those issues back in 2021. That was a long time ago, of course, but all of those issues were just about the connection between Bifrost and Ethereum, because there's like there's all sorts of weird things you can do. So one of them, for example, was that like somebody created an ERC20 called ETH, right? And then that confused the network, like, oh, what you're sending me is ETH, but no, it's some random bullshit token that we accredited you, 1,000 ETH or whatever the hell the number was at the time, and then you swap a bullshit token to a real token, and that was one thing. The other way that like that like that somebody would send money to their smart contract and then forward the transaction to our smart contract, but then send the money back to its own smart contract. But we think we received the money that it received, but we actually didn't. It just sent it back to itself. And so we thought we received funds, but we didn't actually receive funds. We just were told we received funds. And that's another way that we got exploited. Again, that's more smart contract, kind of interaction there that comes the blame for that. Plus, like, there are things about, like, I had this, like, axe to grind. This isn't even before I started building THORChain, but, like, I have an axe to grind around, like, Solidity and the Ethereum smart contract world. Like, there's so many things structurally wrong about it from a security perspective. Like, the idea that, like, message.value, which tells you how much, ETH tokens you're receiving, can be just manipulated and, like, set to 0, even though it's more or less, or some of them. The idea that that could even just be a thing that can happen is just like, like, it's such a ridiculous notion. Like, there's so many exploits that happened, not just to THORChain, but to, like, the entire Ethereum, like, ecosystem that, like, that should never even been an opportunity to happen if the underlying framework of Solidity was actually designed with security in mind. Like, there's so many things. Like, that's why you see, like, 90-something% of all hacked funds in crypto history. I'm making my number here, but like the vast majority of all hacked currency in crypto history is on Ethereum specifically. Not on Solana, not on Bitcoin, not on Sui, not on whatever it is. On Ethereum. Partly, to be fair, it's the longest history. It's been around for the longest period of time, so that's the most opportunity. But part of it's because Solidity is such a shit language. Oh my god. Even to debug that thing, there's, like, no debugging tools that, like, there was something that arrived, like, a couple of years ago, right? But, like, even that, it's like, when the shit fails, it doesn't tell you why there are no error codes. Like, what? Like, I don't like, I looked at it at the Solidity before I even joined THORChain World, and this thing, I'm like, "Wow, this is dog crap. This is the most ridiculous language I've ever seen. I'm not gonna spend my time trying to debug things that are so hard to debug." And I walked away from the language back then, and I haven't looked back since.
I take now we know how to get going. We got to talk about Solidity.
Yeah, I take notes to give them, and I put at the minute mark. I said Solidity sucks. That's what I put for the
This is just turning into they rant against AI and Solidity and other things that don't even relate to THORChain necessarily.
A few months from now, I'm gonna message you at like 4 in the morning, like, "Hey, what do you think about Solidity?" Just see if the paper worked out. Mm. So
You're getting with the code.
yeah, oh, right, yeah, that was camera too. Yes, definitely animated and passionate. Love it.
Yes.
So then, why do you think? Why do you think the guy? I mean, obviously, Vitalik and the guys are smart. Why do you think
Yeah.
they went with Solidity to begin with? Why would they do that?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, Vitalik and the rest of them are very bright people. Please don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for those individuals that did a lot for the industry. Um, I just don't think they were thinking about security that much. They were thinking more as a programmer than a security engineer. I don't know what kind of security people were involved in the project. I'm not aware of anybody that was involved back in those days. Not Hodgkinson, not Vitalik, not the guy behind the other chain that didn't go very far. I can't remember the name of it right now. But like, uh, I don't want to criticize them because I have a lot of respect for those people. But objectively, like the fact that so many funds were hacked so many times, at some point you have to say it's not just because everybody's a really crappy developer, but the tools underneath are not very good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be fair, like there are crappy developers who built crappy stuff. Like I remember protocols being launched, $1 billion being put into it within like 3 days, and then like, oh, the upgrade functionality was broken entirely, and I can't even change the contract, and all the funds are gone. Like it is like there's that. Like those people do exist, right, who spent very little time and just kind of cobbled something together that have no engineering time or experience. As in most people in crypto are like in their 20s and like haven't really been around for long as an engineer to actually develop the skills and have the wounds and scars of just being a developer for 30 plus years or whatever. So like, but I just don't think that there was a lot of security minded people, and they were just like, let's just achieve the goal of a turn complete system, right? That you can build arbitrary apps, and that was the goal, not so much of like foundation. And the internet was the same thing. Like the Wide World Web was invented by CERN in Switzerland, right, in the 1990s, or maybe it was the 80s actually, and they didn't think about security in the way that we think about security today, because why would you? Because you didn't know what the internet was going to be or how important it was going to be, into the future, right? And now like privacy is like still not really a thing on the internet, right? Like there's so many structurally dangerous concepts of the internet, how it's structured. And there's been some changes since then, of course, that are like, that are improvements for sure. But still, like like a lot of the systems that we build, because security minded individuals are kind of few and far between. And most devs who just dev their way through deving, right, don't think about security in the same way they should. And a lot of things are just built insecurely, like Claudebot, for example, just like building just vibe coding things and not thinking about security. And oh, wait, people are putting their entire digital lives connected to this thing that it probably should be pretty secure if you're going to be doing that, right? And like, I will admit that like even my development of THORChain was not as security minded as it should have been, right? We corrected that in 2021. We built an entire team called THORSec. We did, we opened up the bounty program. We had the delayed outbound. We did a bunch of things to reevaluate how we think about security on THORChains, and we've been, geared towards that ever since. And we've been doing, I mean, overall, I would say we're doing a very good job in that kind of context. So like, it takes its own skill to be security minded. It takes time to become good at that. And I think for a lot of devs, they focus on like just deving and just building the thing and get it out the door, launch early, launch often kind of mentality, which is not necessarily bad, but it comes problematic.
Yeah. Guys, I'm trying to figure out. Somebody on Twitter says the link doesn't work. I don't know if that's their computer or not. Trying to send out the link. If anybody wants to come up, if you guys want to come up, ask chat any questions, if you have any comments about THORChain, you're welcome to come up. So I put the link out there in the chat. Maybe something we have to try and figure out later on.
Yeah.
Um,
I really like that history though.
Chad, is there any?
Go ahead, Ken. Okay, I say I really like the fact that history recap, because I think a lot of people understand is just, the maturity of THORChain really is on a whole different level when it comes to 2021. I mean, we had to learn so many different things, and these lessons, I mean, it's like when you're trying to like design something, it always starts off in like the ideation phase where you're just modeling in your brain, but then when you make something and put it on the market and there's real world behavior, you know, assumptions are tested, you have to reevaluate certain decisions you made. And I mean, it's been a really interesting road, but we've navigated quite well. And I think people are now going to figure out that THORChain is just a whole different beast now. It is not even remotely similar to 2021 when it comes to just how hardy the protocol is and the community itself. Yes.
Yeah. Every year it's different. It's not even the
Yeah.
same as from a year ago today.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I mentioned like a couple months ago that like, if you look at like how things have changed, even like having the idea of limit swaps or rapid swaps or any of these things will fundamentally change how liquidity kind of behaves or is on the protocol to give a greater amount of efficiency, right? Like there are structurally some changes happening that I think will have strong benefits to the product, especially in the long term. Harder in these kind of bearishy markets that we're kind of like sitting in the current moment, but yes, there's been structural different, like streaming swaps, structurally different changes, small kind of change from a conceptual perspective, but drastic in its value proposition for the protocol itself. Like we've made so many significant changes. Some of those are good changes, some of those are not so good changes. part of like, growth is you try A, you try B, and keep the things that work and don't keep the things that don't, and keep on going, right? And I think we've been around for so long. We are like OG DeFi. At the time that we started this, like we were one of the first, with the exception of Binance, we were I think the first Cosmos chain. I mean, except for Binance and of course Gaia, of course, but like we were very, very, very early, one of the earliest Cosmos chains in existence. The documentation barely even existed at the time that I was building this thing back in 2017, right? And so like we were on the bleeding edge of cryptography with TSS HGG 18 at the time. We were bleeding edge on Cosmos. We were the bleeding edge of lots of things. Like we were like the OG DeFi space. And now everybody's, kind of looks as kind of like old news in some sense. But like we are still like one of the structural pillars of the entire industry because we've done something and solved a really important problem a long time ago that's still valuable to solve today, right? Hence why we're getting all this like, volume that Ruben was talking about at the beginning of the conversation or whatever. That like that's, shows and proves that like we are here, despite all of our kind of our wounds that we've gone through over the last few years. We're still here. We're still shipping. We're still improving. We're still improving efficiency. We're still solving problems. We're still having value for the industry. We still have lots of integrations. We still have lots of these things. So it's just like despite everything that's gone and even the status of the market in general now, that stuff like I don't want to say it's nothing because it's not nothing, but like it doesn't question whether or not what we're doing and the value we provide for the industry is any less than what it was a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. In fact, I could argue that it's more because the industry is going to get more adoption and there's be more people in crypto, more Bitcoin holders, more stable coin holders, especially in the coming few years.
Well, if you think about it, it's even it actually I would argue is even more valuable today than before because there's still no real competition. We have these other platforms come up that, they might be taking volume away from us, but on some level they censor,
Mhm.
right? Like have
Mhm.
a truly set permissionless censorship resistant DEX,
Mhm.
for cross chain. It's still THORChain,
Yeah.
and then yeah, okay, there's Maya, but I mean, they're our friends, they're a fork. They're never going to become bigger than us. Like it's and the fact that THORChain's been around now, mainnet for over 4 years, right? 4.5 years for mainnet.
Yep.
Is that right? Or am I wrong? Or is it
I think it was like I want to say August
20?
or April 2021.
Yeah,
21,
yeah,
right?
April 2021. Yep.
So 4.5 years of mainnet, and there's still nobody else doing technically the same. And it's like that just goes to show how hard it was to do and how hard it is for anyone else to replicate. So in my mind, that makes THORChain even more valuable because it's
Yeah.
truly unique. And so, for people staring at the price chart, I can't stress enough, just stare at the fundamentals. For me, that's what keeps me going. That's what I've kept my clients going. It's like, honestly, it's just the fundamentals just keep changing and improving and
Yes.
year to year is completely different. And then at some point, it's like eating healthy or exercising regularly. Like, you're gonna take off your shirt one day at the beach, and everyone's gonna be like, "Who is that guy?" Like, no, and
Yeah, yeah. That's Kenton Ralph Toad.
it's
That's right.
right.
And what episode where we all have our shirts off and we just flex our muscles that we don't have at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I shared my screen here because we are talking about streaming swaps, and I really like this. We have a new node operator coming on board. He's just recently trained Devil, and then Barca, and there's a third contributor to the ADR 22. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. I will give you credit on our weekly review. But this is cool. Just a change to the logic of streaming swaps, and just to go to your guys' point. I mean, we're constantly just getting better at the nuances. We figuring things out, and as you guys can see here, Familiar Cow says, "Hey, there's consensus here. The devs love it. If there's no other concerns on the no hour part, let's ship this thing." So I just want to share that because it just shows that like I love seeing now the community itself. Like these are node operators or just general people in the audience, and they've made a worthwhile contribution to the network. I love.
I don't
that.
think
I love.
I don't think they're node operators. I think these are just,
No,
I don't want to say
they're-
average Joe to diminish them, but they're
I think
they're regular Thor chads.
there are people who are like smaller R people. right? I think the story of why these individuals are kind of advocating for this change is that the protocol will switch, like, in terms of, like, the order of who swaps first in a block. Right now, it's just done by, like, the size of your trade. So if you have, like, a $5 million trade, you're probably gonna be first. If you got a $4 million trade, you're probably second, and so forth, and, like, down the row there. And they're like they don't have $5 million, right? And so they have, whatever amount of money they have, I don't know. And so they get, seventh in the list or 10th in the list or whatever the number is. And that, like, by that time, like, to arb the pool is, like, kind of hard to do because it's already been arbed by the guys before you, right? And so they want to change it so that, like, instead of looking at the total size of the trade, wherever, like, $5 million it is, they want to look at the size of the individual trades being executed in that particular block, right? So the sub swap size, not the total swap size, if that makes sense to people. That gives them, from their perspective, gives them a more an ability to be competitive against larger arbs who have more capital to arb themselves and maybe make a profit for themselves. And I think that's, like, the root of where they're coming from, if I can argue for their perspective and steel man their perspective. I get what they're coming from. To be honest, to be fair, the design we have now is as old as the protocol itself, way before streaming swaps even existed. So what they are advocating for and what the thing was designed for is actually one and the same, to be technical about it, because the total size of your swap was the same as the sub swap, because they were what, like, there was no sub swaps, right? So it was effectively what they're arguing for now is what it was originally before streaming swaps, right? Now we have streaming swaps. That complicates it a little bit. There's some kind of nuance to the conversation. I know they're arguing from their own perspective because they want to be an active arbitrage bot and they want to make some money off the protocol in that particular way, which is great. Like, I would encourage it for obvious reasons, right? But to do it their way, that there are downsides to it, which I'm not sure they understood in the conversations that I was having with these individuals to illustrate why that's detrimental to the protocol. In the end, I kind of folded on my side, and I said, "You know what? Okay, well, we can try it this way if you want to." I still don't think that people are they think that somebody's doing a $5 million trade just to arbor pool a little tiny bit, which to me is conceptually doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Their argument that happens. I don't know how that's profitable, to be honest with you. From an arb perspective, that doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not an arb bot myself. I'm an engineer at heart, so maybe there's something I'm missing. That's totally possible. But I decided, like, you know what? I'm willing to fold on this particular issue. And if there is a problem with this new design, we'll be aware of it. We can revert it. It's not a big deal. It's not going to be that much a risk to the protocol by any stretch of imagination. So we can try it out and see how it goes and that kind of thing. I think they're also fighting against the idea of, like, doing limit swaps first and then doing market swaps. They want to, like, mix those things together. Like, this is so weird. I'm doing like a Twitter Spaces, but I'm actually using my hands for the first time. Actually on camera. But they want to do it kind of where they're integrated and they kind of swap arbitrarily in between them. Whereas I'm arguing that they should be separate. And the reason why I say this being separate, because we want limit swaps to be the arbitrage bot. We don't want people to arbitrage using market swaps, because that allows us to do rapid swaps. If you're arbing via market swaps, you can't really do rapid swaps anymore, right? And to me, rapid swap is actually a really important thing for the protocol, because it gives such a greater efficiency to have very high price execution and very low time execution. Like, those two things would be very valuable to this protocol, which is why I'm kind of advocating in this particular way. But I would love to have, like a Discord chat with these individuals and anybody else from the community about this ADR and have, like, a kind of a community discussion. I don't think this thing is appropriate for that, because that's more of like a community discussion versus like a public discussion we're having right now. But I would love to do that at some point, and then we can have a mixing of ideas and people can voice their perspectives and we can hear from column A and hear from column B, and then the nodes can vote and go whatever
I'm
direction they
I'm
feel is
I'm
best.
I miss the old days of people debating in Discord about things. Um, I'd love to see that happen again. Um,
I would too.
Chad, when I learned a ton by that. Just reading, being a fly in the wall. You learn a ton, and there's a lot of smart people involved in THORChain. Chad, when you mentioned market orders and limit orders, like keeping them separate, what did you mean by keeping them separate? Like yeah.
Yeah, meaning that the limit orders are executed first, and then the market orders are executed second. So, like, anything that's limit orders waiting to be executed, these go first, and then the market orders go second. And the reason why is because, other than the point I was making earlier, that we want ARBs to use this system, because, like, in a MEV system, right, where you have, like, take Uniswap, for example, where there's, like, rampant in MEV everywhere, where MEV was bad, but now all of a sudden it's good. I don't understand that, but whatever. The first trade on any particular pool is going to be an arbitrage trade, right? Because you have trades that executed in the previous block that push the price up or down. You also have market demands, market prices that change up or down, in the general market. And so the first trade to happen is generally the arbitrage bot or the arbitrage trade that's correcting the pool price. So you want to correct the pool price on trade one, and then trade two, you have people executing, a regular trade, like a market swap or whatever, to trade from one asset to another. That's generally how it works. If you get more complicated and do like intra-block arbing, which is like a more complicated notion, which is technically possible, maybe we'll explore that downstream to even have greater efficiency on the arbs. Baby steps here, one thing at a time.
So is the idea that oh sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the idea that I can go place a market sell order and um the network will register that, and for a brief moment, oh, we lost Patriot. For a brief moment, the arbs will be able to see that, and they'll be able to place limit orders in front of me and they'll be kind of competing with each other basically on who's going to
Yes.
catch my market order. And
Kind of. Yeah, kind of, I suppose. But it depends how you want to look at it, or define it. Um, People who are doing limit orders are more price sensitive, right? Like they want a specific execution. That's what the definition of the word. Like a limit order is somebody who wants, I have X and I want, a certain quantity of Y. Market orders are not price sensitive, right? They just like, just give me whatever you can give me, right? That's what a market order by definition is like, here's a bunch of Bitcoin, give me as much Ethereum as you can. Our like market swaps that we do on THORChain are technically not market swaps and technically not limit orders. They're kind of like a hybrid between them because you can define a price sensitive downside, right? Like don't give me any less than this number of ether on the other side. Like that's so it's like a middle ground, like a hybrid between those 2 points. So it's technical. I mean, if you put a market swap with zero target, that's like an actual like a textbook definition of a market swap, because you have no price sensitivity whatsoever. You just give me as much as you can at the current market, or whatever the liquidity is, whatever the price is, just give me as much as you can. But in this world where limit orders are more price sensitive, you want to execute them first because they're going to execute at whatever the market price is, where they think is the correct price. The correct price should be from their own individual perspective, and then once it happens, then market orders can just get whatever they can get, on the other side.
yeah. Do you guys mind? I gotta step away for just 10 seconds, you guys. Excuse me. You carry this, keep this going.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely, my friend.
Uh,
Yeah, I had to step away too. I had to go in chat. If you have to use the restroom or anything like that, please at any time you do that.
I've already used it twice already. You just haven't noticed.
Yeah. Well, that's so funny. I was watching, you explain things with their hands, and I'm thinking that somebody is gonna like use AI tools and they're gonna change your voice, and he's like, and this is how you make your wife really happy. Oh man, yeah, it's gonna be really good.
This is how I have a candle burning over here right now.
I'm choked to death. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions, please put them, you put them Telegram or the live chat. I'll try and monitor all of them, but this has been a pretty fun conversation so far. I'm really glad we're doing live streams. I think this is just better. I think it's more engagement, and it's just a lot more fun seeing someone's face, and not just talking to a sound coming from a computer. You know what I mean? So absolutely.
You can get my animated sound and my animated face when I
It helps.
rant
It helps.
and rave about technology in the industry.
It actually, yeah, and it does help, like, listening to the intonation of one's voice and then the expression on their face and then your hand gestures, all that stuff. Like, it adds an important context, you know what I mean? I like that a lot. Because we were, back in the early days, we did a lot of well, no, not but you did a lot of video content where you were going on lots of spaces and stuff, or podcasts and interviews and all that stuff. And that was really cool. I think, given all the stuff that we've built, the journey we've gone to, I love that we're doing this because we do have a story to tell, and we also have a product to sell as well.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, we're always been on the bleeding edge. That hasn't changed at all. I mean, with the app layer coming up, this is This is new territory completely, and I am so excited to see what's going to happen in 2026. And
Yeah.
and it works in conjunction with the base layer too. You know what I mean? This whole arbitrage thing, we'll see how that goes. But your limit swap, rapid swap idea, arbitrage on the app layer, it's all connected. So cool what's happening. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Welcome
And we
back.
got STO going. Doing good
Yes.
after that. We have app layer gonna start scaling. Like, there's lots of things to look forward to this year. And it's,
Keep shipping.
I'd be honest, it'd be frustrating if none of this catches, none of this takes. I'm like, man, like, what's it gonna take? Like, I just,
I mean, to be honest, like I think like we are subject to the macro, right? So
yeah,
even if we deploy really great features or really great like app layer stuff or whatever, like the macro is still the macro. It's a lot of weight if they can push us around in one direction or the other. So we are subject to whatever the whole macro is doing. And like you look at it right now, the market's like crashing right now, basically. And that has nothing to do with THORChain specifically, of course. It's just like a general market thing because of market conditions and things happening in political world. And I'm not a trader, so I mean I don't even know what the deal is on that. But it's a natural thing to happen. But you just keep shipping. You just keep like that's why like when Ken said earlier that like he doesn't look at the price, he looks at the fundamentals. Like that's a very good way of looking at it because the fundamentals for the most part are almost always going up for the most part. Like obviously that can change, but like for the most part, we're constantly shipping code or constantly making changes to improve the fundamentals in one form or another, to improve the security, improve the features, improve the efficiency, improve whatever it is, to improve things as much as we can. So that's what I do in my day work. Like every day I'm trying to ship things to the best I can to, maintain this protocol and keep it moving forward so that we do go to a more bullish market, which inevitably will probably happen, I presume. That we ride that wave with as much oomph and value that we can.
yeah. I keep,
Absolutely.
I keep thinking, like, I always read stuff on Twitter, like people like mad at Binance and they're tired of centralized exchanges and blah blah blah. And I'm like, how do you not know about THORChain? Like, and I just feel like one day it's gonna click and it's just gonna snowball, and we're
Yeah.
just making an avalanche of volume and users coming in, and everyone's gonna be like, "How did I not know about this sooner? Why wasn't I using this before?" And so, like, when wearing the marketing hat, in my mind, in my opinion, I think the biggest problem from like a user point of view is like p- people are just so used to using a SEX to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum on a centralized exchange. They just they're not looking for the alternative. They're just they're like, okay, well, this is the way I've had to do it. I'm been doing this for 10 years now. I'll just keep doing it. And so it's like, how do we break into that and get wake those people up and kind of shake them up and like, hey, the solution you wanted 10 years ago, well, now it exists.
Mhm.
And we got to get you over here, right? And because most people use THORChain and understand, right? They're like, well, this is obvious. Why didn't I know about this sooner? So I'm trying to think of all the different ways to crack that nut to get those people's attention. And I feel like when they do, I mean, obviously we're not going to get everyone, but gosh, just get 1% of these people. You
Yeah.
know, maybe
Work.
or like 3 or 4 or 5%. Like it's just that'll make such a huge difference.
The irony to me is that like if you want to trade on a sex, it is overtly complicated and overtly time consuming. Like you've got to go to the website, you've got to like sign up with your information, you've got to get an email, you have to click the email to like verify your email, right? The back end of the system. Then you need to take a photo of your passport or your driver's license, front side and the back side. Then you gotta send that in. And then you gotta like take a little video of your face where you like look around in a circle like to show that you're an actual person or whatever it is. And then you like finally been authorized. Now you're able to send your Bitcoins into the system. Like that takes like how many blocks? Like 30 minutes, whatever it is. So now you wait another 30 minutes. Now you go back into the system and you have to like go do the trade, which takes 50 clicks of the mouse to like click here, the Bitcoin to da 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 da. And you find the trade, then you have to wait for the trade to execute, which might take I don't know how much time. And then you have to say, oh, I finally did my trade, but now I have to withdraw. Oh, to withdraw, I have to do an email. Oh, let's go back to my email and confirm the withdraw that I want to do. And go back into system, then I do that to withdraw. But the withdraw takes about another 30 minutes for that to happen. Like the process of actually doing a trade from beginning to end is absorbently expensive and confusing, and just like the number of times you have to move and click your mouse is absurdity versus like something like in THORChain world where you just like you have a wallet and you just like trade. Like that's the process. It's like a one-click process, right? Pretty much, or at least a couple clicks or whatever. And it's clean, it's simple. You can watch the whole time. You get your money back without needing to step through so many processes and procedures. So it's like we have this advantage of simplicity and integration into like all of the systems that make it so clean and simple to do this trading. Where I think we fall in a matter of speaking as an industry as a whole is that it like there's a natural instinct, especially for people who've not been in crypto for very long, to have a belief or a trust into centralized corporate entities that they will do well. At the very least, if something goes wrong, I can sue somebody. I can, there's like somebody I can talk to get my coins back or whatever. Like that kind of like trust that people have into like the traditional finance world, I think is a barrier for our industry in a matter of speaking. How we get past that, it's not something that we can specifically do. It's something that's like this humanity as a whole needs to grow beyond and get more comfortable and aware with, DeFi systems like THORChain or Uniswap or anything out there that's conceptually pretty similar. That's just going to take time. But like, because we see all this movement towards crypto, even in the last year with new legislation and, for the gives more space and more regulation, and so that more companies can get into it. Like there's going to be an explosion over the next, 3-4 years of the number of people who have crypto, either in a, ETF thing where they don't even have a wallet, to ones who actually do have their own wallets. There's going to be an explosion of that. And as people get more comfortable and aware of all that stuff, and it doesn't seem so scary as it does now for a lot of people to hold a wallet with a mnemonic phrase or whatever. I think that it becomes much more instinctual and just kind of natural for people to use something like a THORChain for their kind of like finance needs. But it requires a slow growth over an industry that is slow growing, like finance, that is slow growing on its own. Like one of the funnier things that I hear people talk about is like how complicated wallets are and how what is a mnemonic phrase and what do I do with it and how do I back it up and what's these 12 words or like how do I do a transaction? How much gas? And people get confused by this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like kind of laughing because like, do you know how complicated the idea of a checking account is? Like we all take it for granted because we grew up with checking accounts. But like if you were in the days where that was like a new concept, wait, you're gonna give me like a pad of paper and I can just like sign something on here and I have to like balance this checkbook. Oh, then we have this new thing called credit cards. Wait, so there's a plastic thing that I can swipe and that's got an interest rate on it that is some 18-25%. But then how do I pay it? Like there's so much complexity to the financial systems that we already use today, but everybody doesn't think about it that way because it's so just normalized, right? Like if like I do a transaction with my credit card and then it settles in like 3.5 days through 17 different like finance companies, or not 17, I'm exaggerating there, but like it's just like it's the most obscure, obtuse, ridiculous things that it's 2026 and we still have money that moves at the speed of like the telegraph, not even telegraph, the fucking Pony Express, right? Like we've had like the ability to have like money move at the speed of the internet since like the early 2000s, and we're like 25 years, half a quarter of a century of later, and we're still using the Pony Express to like do our financial stuff, which is so ridiculous to me when we can have like instant settlement with Bitcoin transactions or THORChain or whatever to do like purely transparent and clear finance that isn't butt fucking you on the other side. Look, we've seen Wells Fargo do that. We've seen so much fraudulent activity by these banks that they've been fined more money than the entire market cap of Ethereum. Like, like, like Chase and Wells Fargo and like all these characters do so much egregious things so commonly because nobody can ever get arrested. It's always just fines because you can't it's that in itself is just like corrupt by design. But like we have this system that is so messed and it's been messed for so long, and we're just okay with it. Like we're just as a society, we're just like, yeah, that's okay. They steal billions of dollars from poor people all the time, or they like finance Jeffrey Epstein or something like this to do like massive like rings of like trafficking young girls. And we just kind of like, we're like kind of okay with it as a society for some reason. And I don't understand it. But here we are as like the THORChain community saying like, there's actually a cleaner, simpler, more transparent, more honest way of doing things where there is no corruption, right? There is no like, ignorance or like just plain stupidity of people just running things into the ground in the way that we see the TradFi systems. Like we have just math being executed exactly how it's supposed to be done every single block without any opportunity for things going awry from a at least a mathematical perspective. And that's like truly amazing. And yet we're still here. We're still trying to argue like with people that come over from the sex world over the DEX world. And it's a learning curve, man. It's a learning curve that we're gonna have to push people on for not just the next year, but the next 10 years. But it's a natural learning curve that everybody's gonna be on, and are we evolving, the society as a whole will be evolving towards the DEX industry or the DeFi industry as a whole, as people get more comfortable and more relational and easier access to these DeFi systems that they don't even understand today.
Well said. Well said.
That banking system uses Solidity too. I'm trying to get you going.
Well,
Don't get me going on Solidity.
well, here you guys. Oh, yeah. Well, I was gonna. Oh, I see you, Coke. You know, what Chad says is like, you know, people have questions. Like, this is how easy it does a swap on THORChain, guys. Right? So, Bitcoin, Ethereum, click swap. It's memless. What is it? This is a random Ethereum address, guys. Don't, you know? I just picked it up from a random swaps happening. This is so easy, you guys. Click next. You read the thing. You confirm. And then THORChain right now is making a custom memo for you. This is memless. You don't need to connect your wallet. Everything is happening. It's super, super easy. It could not make it any simpler. It takes about 6-10 seconds for this thing to come up. And it's going to come up right about now. Thank you. So there you go, right here. I understand the exact amount. So blah, 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 blah. What this means is, you can read that. You have to send this amount to that from this address, and you're good. And that's
The exact amount.
yes, the exact amount, correct. And if you combine those two things, you can make a swap on THORChain. Can't make it any easier than that, guys.
Is it thumb address? It doesn't actually matter that you can send it from any address. Just as long as the amount is correct.
Right, yes, yes.
There we go. We're gonna. I'm trying to where it says connect wallet. We're gonna try and refine the flow because I'm worried if somebody sees connect wallet, they're just gonna think they have to connect the wallet, right? They won't know that they can do memless. So when you click on connect wallet, we're gonna have a page that says, you know, external memless or browser wallet type thing, and should help highlight that they don't need to connect. So we're working on something. Let you guys know. So, but Coke, you've been patient. So welcome on stage.
Of course, I have time. Because I'm enjoying the whole chat. It was really good so far. Chat, love the come on, the passion, everything. Danny, it seems like you have done a tutorial on the Menoless. You know what you're talking about. Amazing, yeah. But chat, I just had a little like tail loose that I saw. Chat said like it's I mean, market is down. That's why THORChain is down. I remember back in days, there was the deterministic value of Rune, but obviously this is meme, and yeah, it doesn't follow the assets in pools. But there's still one mechanism that's going on, is that the volume, and we have to buy back the Rune, to distribute the bonders. So it's more like a price speculation question, but at what level of THORChain market cap or Rune price, let's say we have like an average volume of, I don't know, 15 million or 100 million per day, it's going to just start buying Rune so much that the price cannot go any lower. So that's why I actually really like THORChain. It is not inflationary system where you just issue the tokens and you dilute the other holders. We actually make revenue, we buy back, but this is a buy volume, right? So at what level, as somebody, since you're into the AI, I thought just maybe you have been playing around just asking like, hey, this is the daily volume, this is the price of Rune. At what point we hit this like level that the protocol I don't know, buyback or swaps to the Rune is higher than the sell pressure, and we get this like a floor price or something.
Well, to me, that like I'll be straightforward and honest. Like, I don't think there's really a floor to Rune's price, in my personal opinion, right? And that's because like when Bitcoin's price goes down, however much it goes down, that inherently creates sell pressure on the Rune asset. That because when you have the Bitcoin pool, you like Rune, you have Bitcoin. These two things are worth the same, right? On both sides of the pool, like the dollar's value, and then the Bitcoin price goes down, an arbitrage bot has to like swap, right, to put Bitcoin into the system to take Rune out and then sell that Rune in order to make profit, right? So like whenever like Bitcoin's price like Rune's price will be correlated to the assets that it's got pools for relative to the amount of Rune that it has in that particular pool, right? Like, so the deeper the pool is, the more correlated it would be. So, even Bitcoin's prices moving lower will naturally create selling pressure on Rune, and that's why, like, generally speaking, like, if you look at any day, whatever the movement of Bitcoin's prices, you will see like 1.5, maybe 2x the price for a Rune on any particular day. Not every day. It's not like, 100% of the time, but like most days, a majority, or maybe even the vast majority of times, if you just do an analysis of like the amount of Bitcoin's price versus Rune price over the last 6 months or even 5 years, doesn't matter, you'll see that they're kind of correlated in this way. And that's just because the pool kind of like creates buy or sell pressure, right? Same thing with like if Bitcoin's price goes up, you have to get Rune in there in order to get Bitcoin out to correct that pool price, which creates natural buy pressure on the Rune asset. So, like, I don't think, in my opinion, that there is any kind of like floor to it. Like, it's mathematically possible for Rune to go sub penny theoretically, right? Like it technically was at one point in time in the very, very early days. I'm not saying it will go sub penny, of course. I'm just saying that like I wouldn't lean on the idea that like it won't go below some price number just because of something. I can always go lower to look like just like any other asset in the world.
But if you look at the chart, it's been going down 800 days, only down since the recent local high from 2023 December. But it's still like let's say THORChain market cap is 1 million, right? USD. So it's gonna be pennies that Rune price. But if the daily volume is 100 million and we take 30 pips, so it's gonna be, I don't know, 30K per day. Doesn't it kind of makes a support level, doesn't it?
Well, so as the price goes lower, the liquidity goes down in the protocol in terms of the pool depths. As the pool depths becomes more and more shallow because the Rune price is getting lower or the Bitcoin price is getting lower, arbitrage will arbitrage less because they require less capital to correct the pool price because the pool is more shallow. So you will, like, I think what's like as the Rune price declines or the market price in general declines, you will naturally see less ARB specifically happening in the protocol, and arguably less. You could argue less like non-ARBs trades because people just get scared and they just kind of like become sitting on their money and not doing anything at all. But like it just depends on like market psychology and these things. Like to me, like you will see less and less volume on THORChains, like not so much in like very volatile. Like today is a lot of like there's a lot of volatility, so you see a lot of volume passing through THORChains today case. But like tomorrow when there's like no volume because or very little volume because there's like no price movements in the industry as a whole, you would probably see less volume than trade volume than you would have the day before because the pools are significantly more shallow. So like I don't want to misconstrue or to give kind of a false, stance on this and say that like Rune's price won't go below a certain thing. You're mentioning like, like price charts and all these things. I personally don't have any faith in price charts. Anybody that comes up to me and says like, oh, there was a cup and handle and a dead cat bounce and the, Elliott wave theory says the da 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 da. Like to me, this is all tea leaves and nonsense, right? Like almost everybody who's made a lot of money in finance, almost none of them are these people who read charts. Like Warren Buffett famously said that like I used to explore, charting and all this technical analysis stuff. And then until one day I turned the chart upside down and got the same answer. And then, and then I stopped using charting, and obviously Warren Buffett's one of the most famous and successful fundamentals investor of all time. But if you look at the top like 30 investors of all time, very, 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 very small percentage of them are TA people. Almost everybody who is successful in this industry is just from buying and selling based upon fundamentals and having a long-term view. So I don't care what the charts say about whether the price of anything is. The price can always go down. The price can always go up. The chart does not tell you jack shit other than informing a market psychology that might be a self-fulfilling prophecy, if that makes sense.
By the way, I'm not trying to squeeze out any answer for you for a specific price. I do have a little bit like this THORChain, how the tokenomics work, like a mechanism in my mind. So that's why I'm asking those questions. So okay, I understand.
But the thing is, like, it's like there is value. Like Rune's price can be influenced by its metrics, like its swap volume and other kind of metrics that has influence in some ways. The question is, how much influence does that have versus just like market psychology? Like the whole market's dumping right now.
Yeah,
There are reasons. Like we're just not going to be able to like compete with the weight of all of that system. So how do we define how much influence the Rune's price is based on its fundamentals and its volume and its whatever these things are versus just market things happening? And most of the time, the market things have more weight than these things in most scenarios, at least in my mind, especially in a bearish market. In a bullish market, it's a little bit different because there's more people involved. They're more receptive to like positive news about launching a new feature or whatever. But in a bearish market, people are paying less attention. They're more like they're looking for new investments. They're just kind of clamoring onto whatever ones they actually have already, like Solana or whatever the hell the coin might be. And so they're not really even like looking into new projects or what THORChain's launching or what Solana's doing or what this is doing. They're just kind of like more like insular in these kind of like bearish times. This is my personal worldview.
yeah, absolutely. But as you mentioned, like when the pool size reduces, the ARPs need less money to move the pools around as well. But at the same time, when we introduce new things like rapid swaps and limit swaps, let's say like the token price collapses to like 1 penny and the market cap is 5 million. At that point, we still have the rapid swaps and limit swaps. They will produce volume that's gonna buy up the token still. I feel like there is some kind of mechanism that it will not produce, I would say it will not produce the low, but it still is this like really strong like influence that will prop up the Rune price because the volume that comes in, and it's not just the adjusting the pools. And that's why I'm really bullish and I'm really interested in the rapid swaps and limit swaps as well. It kind of deviates us away from being tied to the pool prices, and it introduces the new paradigm for THORChain at the token support price.
Yeah, no, some people have that view, and it's not even necessarily like a wrong route. I just don't know how to quantify it, right? Like, I am not a investor myself. I don't consider myself to be. I don't invest in anything shorter than like 3 years. Like it's my minimum personally.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm asking you. I don't have this like so I was trying to bully you to answer me.
Yeah, but like the thing is like the volume that we would get from rapid swaps or these things is also going to be influenced by market conditions, macro conditions. So if Rune's market cap was like 5 million, like you were saying hypothetically, then like the good thing about that scenario is that it doesn't take a lot of economic pressure to push the Rune price from 5 million to 10 million. Right? It's like not that much money and becomes a lot more volatile as it has. I mean, it's a lot less money to push the price down and push the price up. And so you could argue that like things like rapid swaps provide a lot of value, and we're just getting more volume. Fees are being collected and giving those fees to LPs and nodes, and they're getting a higher interest rate. Them being a higher interest rate gets them talking or gets more people wanting to invest into Rune because the interest rate, of being a bond provider or whatever is higher, and that causes more people to buy. Not a lot of buy pressure is required to go from 5 million to 10 million. You can make these arguments, but they're quite like subjective in a sense. Like it's hard to quantify, it's hard to prove. Like, and I just like don't want to wrap my brain around these things to a certain extent because it's kind of like almost philosophical in a manner, and there's no real answer to it. And so that's why I say focused on just the fundamentals and like what can I do to improve the fundamentals of this protocol to make it easier to trade, faster to trade, better price execution, better efficiency, whatever it is. And I try to be as creative as I can to produce concepts and ideas that I think would provide a lot of value to the protocol. And what should happen on paper is that like that should cause the Rune price to go up, right? Because you improve the fundamentals, you would think that the price would follow those fundamentals. On paper, that's what it should be. In practicality, there's tons of other things happening in the market that can influence it in one direction or the other, right? Like we've had situations in the past where we launched features and the Rune price doubled. We've seen that happen more, like it happened, I think, with streaming swaps. I think that happened even with THORFi, right? Like where like people got excited, people got engaged, a lot of buyer pressure in the Rune asset, the price went up. That logically makes sense to me to be the case. But we're also like, there's a macroeconomic thing happening here. I don't think there's many people in this industry looking to like, what new thing should I invest into? Because they're just like already hurting from what they're investing into now because Bitcoin's price is down, Rune's price is down, Ethereum's price is down, Solana's price is down. Everything is down, right? And so that because it becomes a hard market to launch things into. It doesn't mean we put things on pause necessarily and just stop, doing good things to raise the fundamentals of the product protocol. I am always going to be open to anything that actually improves the fundamentals of the protocol, to improve the quality, the efficiency, so forth and so on. I'm always going to be fighting for that in one form or another. As long as there's something, a really good idea that will provide a lot of value, I'll be open to it, to listen to it, maybe implement it, launch it, whatever that thing might be. But like, I'm very hesitant, especially because I don't want anybody to sue me to say like, oh, Chad said it wasn't going to go below 5 cents and it did, or whatever the number might be. Like, I'm always gonna say,
Damn it, I tried to sue you, bro.
yeah, don't do that. What I am going to say is that like I believe I'm a fundamentals person. I invest from a fundamentals perspective, and I improve this protocol from a fundamentals perspective. I ignore the macro because I can't do anything about the macro. Macro is going to be the macro. Trump's going to do what Trump's going to do, or whatever, right? Like that's just like China's going to do what China's going to do. I don't know. Don't really care to some extent. I'm just going to say focus on the micro, and because that's something I can actually change and actually improve. And I've been doing that, like, I came back to the protocol for that explicit purpose to help the protocol come back from a bad situation and invest my time and energy as much as I can back into this protocol to put it into a much better spot. And I've been consistent about that ever since I came back to the protocol. And I have no plans to do anything but that for the foreseeable future. Now I don't really care about what's happening. This is a blogger. I don't really care what he's doing. He could go ahead and do like, tariffs or whatever it is, or like threaten tariffs, which causes a Bitcoin price to go down to like, 30% drop like we saw like a few months ago in October, I think it was. Like he can do crazy things that make no sense, that hurt the industry as a whole. That's fine. He's still going to do what he's doing. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do, which is improving the fundamentals. That's what I'm most focused on.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm here. I see the path forward. I see why we're doing what we're doing. But at the same time, you actually have to like the fundamentals have price as well. Like if you have a ice cream, it's like it cannot.
I don't know.
It cannot be 1 cent. It has to be $1 at the moment. Like this.
Maybe like you could be right. Like I'm not even saying you're wrong,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe maybe you're right. Maybe like it can't go below 10 cents. Like I have no idea.
Well,
Like I have no idea how to evaluate that without being purely subjective and philosophical about it.
Speaking of fundamentals, we do have a question from the audience here. I think we asked this before, but I'm going to put it on the stream here. It says, interested to hear Chad's thoughts on the smart contract arbing on Ruggiero. How much contact does he have with Codehans? One thing about Codehans chat it had is I love when he talked when he was making Thornode. He was adding code to Thornode to get Ruggiero on board. He was just talking about like, he could see the journey THORChain had to make and all the code changes and all, all the merge requests and all that stuff. So, yeah. So can you maybe add some context on that front?
Yeah. So I have a little bit. I haven't dived as deep as I would like to, but I have a little bit of conversation with what's his name? Code Monkey, something Monkey. What's his name?
Pragmatic Monkey.
Pragmatic Monkey. That's what it is. Pragmatic. Yeah. And so I got a little bit better idea of it. Like, so I think he was one of the reasons why I decided to kind of go with ADR 22 on this idea of like ordering the swaps based upon the sub swap size. It just makes it easier for him to do what he's trying to do as well. And I kind of figured to myself, it's like, what they're talking about could be really good. It's definitely not going to be harmful to the protocol. Like it's not going to like hurt liquidity. It can only really like help it in a sense. So I figure I have my own ideas of like how we can improve ARBs, right? And I have a concept that I've written about in the GitLabs to explore this idea, like how I think we can do ARBs a little bit differently and create an actual structured framework to it, so that we can get as much value from arbing and maintain a lot of value inside the protocol, or make as much money off of the arbs as possible. But I figure we can make a small change. We can satisfy at least these people raising the ADR 2022 to a certain degree. Pragmatic Monkey can implement his ideas of what he wants to do in terms of like the smart contract arbing. And if it's positive, great, awesome, wonderful. Maybe what they're doing is great, and I don't need to do what I was thinking about. And maybe we can just kind of end it there. But I figure, like, let's give him a shot and just give him a chance. It doesn't really have much risk to it, at least from what I can see, what I've seen so far. And if it helps, great. And if it doesn't help, then we can try something else, right? I mean, the idea that I've been kicking around. But for right now, I think, like, let's give them space, let's give them the opportunity to try out the idea and see if it works.
Cool. Well, what are your thoughts on BRune?
BRune? I mean, I guess I'm fairly neutral about it, right? Like, I think there's reasonable argument you can make for one versus the other. If we were to, like, we could have done BRune a little bit like easier in some sense on the protocol side, like on the base layer, if we just got rid of the whitelisting aspect to being a bond provider. It's there for a reason, and the reasons why it's there was from a security stance that's kind of changed since then. So there's argument is you could make to the whitelisting is not really needed as much as it was before. The risks that we were trying to fight against aren't as prevalent as it was before. You could make that argument, and you can make an argument against it as well, to be fair. I don't have a strong opinion on BRune. Again, this is another thing that, like, people have ideas that are not me, which is great, and they want to try them out. And there's not a strong negative to it that I can see. Like, I don't think it's gonna, like, cause a network to be, captured or anything like this. Like, I think that's impractical to happen, to be honest. As from my perspective, that's true. So I say give it a try, see how it works out, and we can always just try other things later.
Oh,
I have seen people on the Rogerin side do say that they are interested in using it. So it's hard to know expectation wise how many people are going to use BRune. Apparently, a lot of people from Rogerin want to use it. So I guess we'll see, right? So I'd be interested to see. Because I try to construct in my mind how it's going to behave, but I'm just going to wait until we see results, right? I mean, it's a whole nother thing. So yeah. Very cool. Well, guys, if you have any other questions or anything like that, please submit them now. We're going on over 2 hours. Thank you, Chad, so much for giving us your time. And this has been so much better having this on camera. I love doing this. I think this is the way to go. I think we've got a lot of fun content. You know what I mean? I think we taught people how to make their wife happy too with the AI tooling. There's a lot of good things, I think, from this live stream that we have done, right? And yes. Absolutely.
Hopefully, I didn't do very much ranting on everybody.
No, Dolls, you great. No way. It was awesome. Absolutely.
we're definitely clipping that.
Unusual in this particular episode, so I kind of apologize. But
No, it's good, man. No, don't apologize. Don't change your behavior. It's awesome.
That's
Love it.
Coke, I hope listening to the recording, you clip a bunch of those and post them. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So, so people like Chad. People like passion, and good rants. They're not negative.
Yeah.
So what I thought we had some more comments. Like Coke just said, thank you for your time. Show on stream.
Good dude.
Yeah, he is a good dude. He busts my balls a lot, but he's a good dude.
Coke, if anyone is wondering, Coke is a guy helping us with the video editing after the fact, putting the videos up on YouTube and making clips for social media. And well, guys, should we start wrapping it up?
Yeah, unless somebody else has a question or whatever, then yeah, we should wrap it up.
Yeah, Kent and I accidentally exited out of my the Microsoft document, so I'm sorry, I can't remember which space is it. Buyer Labs is coming this Saturday. Is that what it is?
Oh, you know what? I should go. Let me check quick.
Let me make sure I say that correctly.
It is, yeah, BR. I think it is
BR Labs. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And
BR
That's
Labs.
on the calendar. And then the following Saturday is Auto Regira, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have anybody for the 21st. And on the 28th, we've got Liquify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but when we end the live stream, we have to leave our website open so it finishes uploading, right? Is my understanding correctly?
Yeah, Chad, just leave your browser open for a minute or something after we're done.
Yeah. I think there's like 2 tabs that they open in my browser. One's like for uploading, and one's for, I don't know.
Okay.
Do you see like two Riverside tabs? Like one says keep this
I only have
tab
one.
open until its upload is done.
Okay.
Upload page. Keep it open and ensure your recording uploads smoothly.
Might be for guests only since we're producers, Kenton. I'm not sure, but that might be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it must be. Awesome. And listeners, guys, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at THORChain, at THORChain Contact, at TikTok. I know you probably hate those platforms. Create an account, burn your account. Go follow us. We need 1,000 followers so we can live stream there. We want to get everywhere, right? Do everything we can to get the message everywhere. So it doesn't cost us any extra to live stream. We just need those followers.
Do it, guys.
Thing is, like, one thing is I would just like, I'm interested to like start interviews people who want to join me on the dev side and help me build this protocol and maintain this protocol. So if you yourself are a Go developer, or you know somebody who's a Go developer, obviously if you have Cosmos experience, that would be even better. You can reach out to me. Maybe Twitter is the best way to do that, I guess, or Discord. It's on Discord. And send me your GitHub or your LinkedIn or whatever, and I'll take a look at that. But it'd be great to get some more devs on our side and start to shore up that thing. The funny thing is, like, what's gonna like progress faster, like me looking and finding a dev and then getting them spun up to like the code base, so they're like it takes months and months to learn this code base and whatnot, or Hugin, like the learning curve of Hugin versus the learning curve of like a human, right? Like it's like Opus 5 or 6 gonna come out or whatever, and it's just like it's kind of an interesting kind of like arguably debate. Humans probably even better, to be honest with you, but it's kind of a funny idea that like Hugins like on its own little learning curve.
I love that. That's a worthy experiment to have. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll do both. We'll burn both candles. I'll get Hugin to grow and become more efficient and a more stronger developer. And if I can hire somebody as well, that's be a good person to work with, and get them kind of spun up on this code base to help me, maintain it. That'd be great.
We can incorporate that into our intro, Patriot.
Yeah.
So looking for Go develop.
That'd be good. Yeah,
I'll do that.
Yeah, so we'll start mentioning it every time.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at the chat. I see 2 texts.
Yeah, it's with the Coke. I don't see anything else, guys. So last call. If you guys will have any questions whatsoever, Chad's given us over 2 hours of his time. Thank you guys, everyone who tuned in. Really great. Appreciate you all for helping us with the content. I think that's it, you guys. You see anything, Kenton?
No, that's great. Thank you, everybody.
All right, everyone. Take care. We'll catch you Saturday with BR Labs. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.